Welcome back to Podcast by Design by Ibiza Bernadas. So it's been a while since the last time that I recorded, but here we are. Um, Recently, I consistently posted on my socials. So shout out to Kate who challenged me to really post consistently on my socials. So there, it prompted me for me to create a long form one, just so I'll be able to explain the things if I feel like there's a topic that I need to discuss about, or if there are concerns or questions that my audience um, are asking or needs to know. So actually, I received messages like, "What's your niche?" So actually, this is based on one of the videos that I posted. One asked, "What is my niche?" and then one is asking for a referral, and one even asks for a job if I have an opening. I feel like in 2026, people needs to know and like understand how the VA world works, how to get clients, and what's the best niche for them. And before I answer that, I wanted to do a little bit of reverse psychology. So I wanted to challenge you guys if this is really for you, because it's not for the faint of heart. And people, would flex about their six-digit income, their gadgets, their properties, their travels. But, I wanted to share the reality of it, that it's not always sunshines and rainbows. And believe me, I've experienced it myself, that, clients come and go. And I really wanted to share that this is not to share this, not to dishearten you, but of course, to set expectations for you. So, first, the instability of it. Like, I know gurus or VA coaches would tell about, unfireable. I've seen this conference and it says it's unfireable, but the reality is you can be fired anytime. Like in any industry, you can be fireable. Like you can be terminated. So even if, especially as a contractor, we are not guaranteed of our job. And even if you're part of an agency, I've seen an agency who claims that it's a long-term one. It's stable, but the reality, there's a lot of factors that we could consider. We should consider, because there's the economy, the 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 things that are happening in that specific in that specific niche or industry. You know what I mean? So we have to consider having multiple clients. So regardless if you're doing it with a direct client or a an agency, once the client decides to terminate you, you'll that's it. And in that note, I wanted not to really dishearten you, but my personal solution for that is to have multiple clients, because in this economy that we have to be wise and we have to be practical. And I really felt, but especially before, I used to have 7 clients back. This is way back, prior or even during the pandemic. But yeah, really need to pick your poison if you wanted to have a stable job, a full-time stable job. But any moment it could be taken away from you. So you have to really pick your poison. So in the other hand, if you have a lot, like multiple clients, but you need to juggle your time, your energy, right? So you really need to pick your poison. Next, if you're not resilient and resourceful, this is not for you. I wanted to say this with love, not to dishearten you again, but sometimes a client would give a very broad instruction that you need to figure out yourself. So if you're not, if you're so So VA coaches would say that, Google is your best friend, and you have to be resourceful because you really have to. And there might be clients that they will provide SOPs and stuff, like specific instructions. But the thing about it is, once the client would see that you're reliable, or that you can work with a minimal supervision, then that's exactly what they need. Then they would love you, definitely, because especially if it's not if you're especially if there are time differences, like if they are not available 24/7, and then you have to ask them questions. So you really have to be resourceful. You really have to understand the tools, the tech, anything that is related to their business. So Google is free. Google is your best friend, and now there's AI. So there's that. Okay, number 3, it can be lonely sometimes, and I'm sure people would say that, oh, I'm an introvert and I don't need people, and that's fine. That's good for you. But actually, I once talked to a friend that is an introvert, and she said that sometimes she still needs to go out of the house, and even if she doesn't know the people around her, she said that it's necessary. So say for example, if your team doesn't have a regular huddle, and it can be really unhealthy. And yeah, so that's the 3 things. There's instability. You need to be resilient and resourceful, otherwise this is not for you. And it can be lonely sometimes. Okay, so how to be a VA? So people would say, oh, you have to undergo this, you have to have this, you have to have that. But whenever somebody would ask me they wanted to be a VA, I would always tell them, what is your why? Like, really, what is your why? So there are no right or wrong questions here. At the end of the day, there will be, a lot of things that are gonna happen. In any job, any industry, there will always be a challenge. And again, this job is not always rainbows and sunshines, right? So just in case something big happened and it's really disheartening, you really are disappointed, your big why will always push you, motivate you to persevere and really keep on doing this. And it's regardless if it's money, time, freedom, family, and your passion. So you have to know your why. So that's number 1. So number 2 is the niche. So what is the best niche? I'd have to say that the best niche is the skill set that you have, because that is the most sustainable thing. I mean, I know that you can try doing stuff that you don't like any other job, you can do that. But if you wanted to do this sustainably, you may wanted to stick to your skill set. What I suggest is try everything. Try different things. It might be costly for in terms of time or energy or even resources, but I just wanted to share before. I don't have much money. Not that I have a lot of money now, but I used to try everything, different courses just to upscale. I did try, social media marketing course, or even funnels, or even, SEO, and, podcast, email marketing, or websites. So these things I really tried, and then I realized that it's like these things, there are things, for example, copywriting is not really for me. But it's still part of social media, right? But there are things that I wanted to pursue over the other. So just try different things and figure it out yourself, because you will be able to do that not by researching, but by doing it yourself. Next, getting a client is not just about asking for someone. Like, you might have seen the video where I was referred to by someone, but it's like it's really by God's grace that I was referred to that client. But essentially, it's you really have to do the work, because by then you would appreciate what you are doing, and you would appreciate the part or the process of this VA journey. And it is good that if somebody have referred you to somebody, but I wanted to encourage you that doing the work, applying, looking for the niche, researching, that would take you to places. So that's 3 already. You should know your why. The best niche is your skill set, and getting a client is not about asking for someone. Okay. And 4th, you need God's grace. Like, it might be so cheesy, so corny, so religious. And I don't want to say this, I don't want to be too preachy about it, but that's what happens to me. Like, I might be planning things, I might be, you know, targeting or wanting to pursue this stuff, but if it's not really for you, it's not for you. So Proverbs 6:9 says, the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. I personally have experienced this because there were clients, like I've said, they come and go. Once they decide that they are terminating the contract, that's it, and you cannot do anything about it. So what you just need to do is, just trust God that He is in control and that He will direct you to the next steps. Just if you just believe in Him. Okay, so there's that. What questions do you have in terms of becoming a VA? Feel free to drop it in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.